This is no longer Serial Talks with Josh and Ben. You're supposed to be dead.
You transitioned me into eternity.
It's Serial Talks with Ben.
All right, let's talk about witches, pagan, Wicca, all that kind of stuff. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this...
Witches, pagan, Wicca, all of that stuff. Witches, pagan, Wicca, all of that stuff. That's it.
Were you feeling that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you looked like you were.
I was. Do you see my smile?
Yeah, it was big.
I felt it.
The
endorphins are coursing through my body. As well as Lil Yachty. Lil Yachty.
Please watch this Lil Yachty.
Look, it's a little yacht floating around in the milk. Sorry.
So, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because on Netflix, I started seeing a lot of shows.
Keep going. I know where you're going with this.
Do you?
Uh-huh.
I started seeing a lot of shows about witches, about witchcraft. Even in like my kids, like when it just goes to the kids thing, there's even like ones like Little Witches and little Sabrina, the Little Witch, and all this kind of stuff. And one thing that I have realized is that when the enemy / people are trying to begin to indoctrinate people with things, they will start bringing it into the media.
Yep.
And they'll have you start watching it, get interested in it, and then that will introduce you to a concept, and then make you accept it, and then you begin to possibly dabble in it, play in it, start doing stuff. Some of you may have already, played with Ouija boards. Some of you may have already done things like, light as a feather, stiff as a board, playing with little things that are occult, kind of like introductions. But I want to talk a little about the Wiccan witchcraft thing, because you may even know somebody who is Wiccan. You may know somebody who says they're pagan. You may know somebody, or you may even be dabbling in or thinking about it. I've heard somebody say, I'm a Christian witch. Is that even possible? Is it possible to be a Christian witch? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And Ben, so far, what's going on in your head there? I see lots of facial expressions.
Well, I was thinking about a couple things. First thing you said was Christian witch, and then I was like, what else could be like something that's not possible? Like an evil chocolate chip cookie maker? It's not possible.
No, that's possible.
Chocolate
chip
cookies are good. Okay, talking about shows, for instance, I'm sure most of you watch WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
So that show was a weird turning point for me, because I've always loved watching all the Marvel movies. And I was like, how many times have we seen Wanda in these movies? And she's just a cool hero. Mm-hmm. But now all of a sudden she's a witch. Now I know there's the comics, I know all that, and she was but I thought it was a different direction in the movies. I don't know, it was weird, and the amount of like evil stuff in that show was a lot towards the end. I mean, it was cool when it was like a sitcom, and then it hit that point in the dungeon where it got like, and I was like, ugh. And then all of a sudden I was like fast forwarding everything, just trying to get to the fight scenes, and it wasn't even that good. I spit on you, sorry.
You did?
Yeah, I said fight.
That's gross.
I said fight, and it was like, but yeah, it's just interesting how it's becoming more open again. And like, I remember when Harry Potter was big, when it first came out, and there was this same push with Harry Potter. But then, not that Harry Potter died down, but the popularity and like the like rabid excitement. Dang it. Yeah, I just feel like it's coming back in that way again.
So what I did a little research, and I was reading some articles about people who practice Wicca and are witches and things like that. And so we're going to talk about some of the things that they say. But something you should know, Satanists and witches are not the same thing. All right? Witches don't worship Satan. They don't even believe in Satan. Wiccans don't believe in Satan. What they are is very much, they derive from paganism. Did you know the actual definition of pagan is anything that doesn't come from the patriarchal religions? So Islam, Judaism, Christianity are the patriarchal religions. Anything that's not in those three, technically paganism.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so like Hinduism, Buddhism, any of that kind of stuff would technically be paganism. What they believe is a lot of things where you're basically communing with the earth. It is about the deification of human beings and us having divine
Yeah.
divinity within us, divinity within everything, and communing with it, whether it be rocks, whether it be trees. Now, some people may say there's like gods of those things. Some people don't believe there's gods in them. Some believe there's like a universal force. Some don't. There's so many different ways of believing that it really does just boil down to whatever you want to think, buddy.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because what did we talk about a couple episodes ago was like the New Age Christianity and all that stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That
like,
kind of has paganism woven into it a little bit.
It does. It does. And I saw somebody saying one of the reasons why they liked it was because it was accepting of other faiths. Because as long as you can believe whatever you want, it doesn't matter what you believe.
Yeah.
You know?
But we have to be nice to people still.
Yes.
So.
That is something to say about what they believe. One of their things is harm no one, do as you will. That's kind of like a creed. Don't do anyone any harm, but do as you will. So basically, however you choose to live your life is how you live your life. There's no rules, except for you can't hurt people. So here's one person, they're being interviewed, and they're explaining their Wiccan journey.
I just had a thought. Sorry, you'll have to say that again. We should talk about the difference of why Lord of the Rings, a movie like that, is okay versus Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Were you going to talk about that?
I mean,
because like magic, because like fantasy is okay, but it's when the magic is real that it's not okay.
So yeah, okay. So let's hit on that. Actually, I'm gonna jump to this, and here's why.
Sorry.
Here's why.
Was that man's name Thorn Mooney?
I hope so. Yes, it was.
Congratulations, sir. I hope you're a warrior.
So this person says they were asking them how they got into it. They said, "My first exposure to spirituality of any kind was
of any kind.
Of any kind.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah."
It's weird to me to think that people can have grown up in houses that have zero spirituality whatsoever. Because as long as I can remember, we always prayed, we always went to church, but people have entire lives of no understanding. So sorry.
No, they were saying that Wicca was their first exposure to spirituality. But they're saying just like today, the 90s saw a boom in witches in the media. Where now we have the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, American Horror Story, Coven, and Charmed reboot. This person grew up with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Craft, Practical Magic. So I got in the way many do through movies and television portrayals portraying witches positively. So this is a huge deal because he's basically stating that many people get into witchcraft through the media.
They accomplished, whoever wrote those shows accomplished their goal.
Exactly. And this is the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I'm seeing the push again. Yeah. And I actually wanted to talk about it before it became like huge. And I'm trying to help people backpedal from it.
Yeah.
And give you an understanding of what you're looking at, what is viewing. So he was asking about, the difference between Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings
or Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah, or Chronicles of Narnia. And I would say, I don't know. I heard so many people saying that the stuff that they used in Harry Potter was real magic. I don't know, because I don't know what real magic is. And I would say if you talk to Wiccans.
Real magic's pulling a rabbit out of a hat, Josh.
Exactly. Cutting people in half. Ow.
Trying, guys. You see what I have to work with here? Just kidding. I'm kidding. Thanks for letting me be on this show. I know you could change it to any time to anyone else, so thank you.
That's not true.
Promise me I can stay.
We have a chemistry.
We do.
It's like H. I'm H2 and you're O.
Oh.
Actually, I think the O has the 2, not the H. Anyway, so the thing that I feel like is the difference, I don't know if it's real or not. Here's my thing with the two. I feel like Harry Potter glorifies witchcraft and makes witchcraft look fun and inviting, whereas I feel like Lord of the Rings and Narnia use magic as a storytelling device.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like is the difference. If you were to say, why is this okay and that's not okay? I feel like they use it as a storytelling device versus this is showing it as a positive thing.
Yeah.
That will actually help you with your life and it'll be like, wow, that'd be cool to do myself.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think most people look at Gandalf and like, I'm going to be like, I just don't think that most people...
I'm gonna have a nose like that one day. It's very bold. And it's interesting. You can look at the people who wrote the books. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis were both known for being Christians, were known for their faith, whereas J.K. Rowling is not known for that at all. And it's just interesting because Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, all of their other works are extremely spiritual. I mean, C.S. Lewis is legendary.
Yeah.
But it all points you towards God.
Yes. Here's
not the God of the trees, the real God. God.
Big G.
Not little G, tree God.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Here's one person. They said, I work with spirits, deities, ancestors, and other liminal beings.
Explain liminal.
I think they're like lemmings.
Are
you going to look it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Liminal.
And other liminal beings, while also drawing upon the physical world to bring about change in my life and beyond. They say, I don't worship anything. Rather, I listen, observe, commune, and connect with the world around
Interesting.
me.
Liminal, relating to a transitional or initial stage of process. So a liminal being would be someone transitioning to death?
Or maybe like reincarnation kind of a concept, maybe?
Occupying a position at or on both sides of a boundary or threshold. So someone who lives in both realms.
Interesting.
Living and dead?
Or there are people that do what's called astro plane, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And they live in it. Yeah. So anyway, they're communing with these spirits and everything like that. And Christians need to understand that those things are real.
Yeah.
But I also think we need to understand, and we'll put the reference up here. Paul says this, the devil comes as an angel of light. Meaning this, he's not going to come to you as the bad guy. He's going to come to you, and whatever he presents to you, he will make it look good and inviting and exciting. And like, man, if I do this, I could change my entire life. If I am being bullied, I could use this to help me get out of that. If I'm, struggling at home, or I don't feel like I have a connection with a person, I can find a connection with a spiritual being, a spiritual, a deity. Which is
interesting, because that's exactly what Jesus wants to do.
Exactly.
Now, one of the
things I found interesting in these articles is that they said that some of them grew up in a religious household, but they didn't buy into it.
Yeah.
They were like, I don't think that. And I think that's where the important difference is between you being raised in a religious household and having a religion of I just do this thing because that's what I do, but you have no connection with God.
Yeah.
This person says they listen, observe, commune, which is to have a relationship with, and connect with the world. They're looking for relationship with a higher being, something beyond what they are, because we all need and want a relationship with God.
Yep.
We're looking for it. And religions, whether you want to call them that or not, Wiccan, pagan, whatever, are trying to connect with the greater world that everybody knows is there.
Yeah.
And so,
but if you're not connecting with Jesus, then what else is there?
Then
you're going to connect to something that seems nice.
Exactly.
That looks nice and looks attractive, but is actually evil and can destroy you.
Exactly. So in Deuteronomy, I'm gonna read this to you. In Deuteronomy, God is talking to the people of Israel before they go into the promised land. He says this: when you enter the land of the Lord your God is giving you, be careful not to imitate the detestable customs of the nations living there. For example, never sacrifice your son or daughter as a burnt offering. That was something the people of Canaan were doing, is they would actually sacrifice their babies to a god. All right? We can get into abortion and that concept a different time. But just so you know, this is...
that was happening.
This was happening.
Regularly. So much so that it needed to be in the Bible. Warn us.
He says, don't do that. And then he says, and do not let your people practice, ready? Fortune telling, or use sorcery, or interpret omens. That would be, and the same thing as like horoscopes and all that kind of thing. Engage in witchcraft, or cast spells, or function as mediums or psychics, or call forth the spirits of the dead. anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord. It is because the other nations have done these detestable things that the Lord your God will drive them out ahead of you. But you must be blameless before the Lord. The nations you're about to displace consult sorcerers and fortune tellers, but the Lord God forbids you to do such things. Why was God so adamant? Don't do this. I think there's 2 reasons. Number 1. You want to guess?
Oh no, I'm just listening to you.
Oh, okay.
Josh is one of my favorite preachers.
Oh,
so
thank you, man.
He's in preach teach mode, and I enjoy it. So,
Number 1, remember this: you will become like whatever you worship. Okay, you will become like whatever you worship. Now you're like, what? No, I won't. Think about it. You talk like, dress like, act like whatever friends you have that are more important than you. Whatever type of music, Lil Yachty. Whatever type of music, whatever you think you should pattern your life after and is most important to you, that's what you will end up being like.
Ooh, quick example.
Go.
When I was 12 years old, I was obsessed with Indiana Jones. I wanted to be an adventurer, but I wanted to also dig up dinosaur bones. That was my ultimate goal in life. As a result, I dressed like Indiana Jones. Didn't have the right hat, didn't have the right shirt, but I tried my best. But one thing I always remember was that Indiana Jones was always very sweaty, and he always had a button-down shirt on, okay? He always had his shirt only buttoned up to like here. So there was at least a year of my life where I walked around with a button-down shirt unbuttoned to be like Indiana Jones, because that is what I wanted to be. It's a perfect example.
That'll preach. Perfect example. The other reason is that God knew that these spirits and deities, now when I say deity, I don't mean God, I mean a spirit that has a high place in the spirit realm on the dark side. Okay?
Do what must be done, Lord Vader. Do not hesitate. Sorry.
And yes, there are different beings and spirits and everything that have different rankings and all that kind of stuff in the spirit realm. He knew that they were evil and would end up being the downfall of the people.
Wow.
Meaning this: you will consult them and you will connect with them thinking you are building a friendship, a relationship, or they will help you, but in the end they will hurt you. And God knows this. And so he's saying, don't do what they're doing. Don't do what these people are doing. I am the God who made you, who made the earth. I am the one who loves you, and I have the best for you. Follow me. Now here's something else that's interesting about it. This person is talking about how they grew up Jewish, and then they went to a Unitarian church. They tried Buddhism, but nothing quite fit. Then they went to their first Wiccan ritual. It says, that night I reached out for deity, and for the first time they reached back and spoke to me. That was when I knew I'd found what I was looking for. This is what I'm talking about. People want an actual relationship with God.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking for.
Oh, wow.
And so Buddhism didn't have a relationship with God. The Jewish religion that they were doing at the time, because they weren't even practicing. They just said they were, that was their heritage. Jesus is saying, I will give you an actual relationship with me, with my spirit, and my spirit will live inside of you.
Yep.
But because of 2 things. 1, the enemy comes in as a deceiver.
Yeah.
And we'll say, here's what you're looking for. And it feels like what we're looking for. Until we get too far down, it's too hard to escape. But with Jesus, you can. Yeah. But number 2 is that this allows us to be a God to ourselves. One of the things about this is recognizing the deity within us. Now, where does this come from? It's very, very old, from the very beginning of time. We see in Genesis chapter 3, when the devil comes to Eve and tells her to eat the fruit, here's what he says. You won't die if you eat the fruit. God knows that your eyes will be opened as soon as you eat it, and you will be like God. The thing he offered her was deism. Not deism, sorry. That's the belief in a God. Was deity. Yeah. Was being a God to yourself.
Yep.
You don't need God anymore because you're a God to yourself, and you can make everything that you want happen in your life by using the forces of nature and the forces around you and your own thoughts and your own will and your own thing. It's not about God. You don't need God. It's all about you.
That's crazy.
That's what this is about. People don't want to be accountable to God. They literally have their own morals that they have to live by.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is when you live by your own morals, eventually your morals become shaky as your situations change.
Yeah, if we don't have, the 10 Commandments, those are our absolutes. If we don't have that, who's to stop us from just being like, oh, I don't feel like this anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this and do that.
And what right does anybody have to stop you?
None.
None
Right.
You can't tell me what to do.
Because I'm a strong, independent man.
And you're smart, too.
Thank you. And I'm a deity. Yeah.
But
just call me Demigod Ben.
And here's where we get messed up. We believe falsely that everybody should just be able to believe what they want.
Yeah.
But we can't. Because in the end, that will begin to hurt us. It will begin to be the thing that destroys us because we are doing what we want. And if what I want is to hit Ben in the eye with this, right? And I think it's okay. But then the instructions say don't hit somebody in the eye because they might lose their eye. And I'll be like, but I think it's okay for Ben to lose his eye. And I do, like what right do I have? Yep. What right does he have to stop me? What right do I have to stop anybody from stealing my car if that's what they think is right for them? And they say, well, do no harm to people. That's true. But as long as you are the one who's determining what harm is.
Yeah.
What? Who says?
I mean, doing harm to someone could be not helping them, Yeah. You're just letting them. I mean, it's like kids. If I don't discipline my kids, they're rotten.
Right.
Because we need direction. We need an absolute of what's correct and what we're supposed to do.
So here's what I want to leave you with. I want you to begin to ask God, and I'm going to put some of these other verses in the description so that you can go and look them up yourself. You can't just accept things because it looks good.
Yeah.
It has to line up with the Word of God.
Lots of things look good.
They do. They do. A lot of things look good, but they're just not. And so we have to realize that God has the best in store for us. Yeah. That He loves us. He's not trying to keep us from things that are going to be beneficial. He's trying to keep us from things that will hurt us.
Yeah. And
get us to things that are going to help us. And so don't just fall for any trick of the enemy. Don't just start watching movies that have a ton of witchcraft and this, that, and the other, because it makes you feel like it's okay. And then your heart becomes soft to those things, and it allows it in. So I just want to encourage you, be careful with those things. So maybe you've been dabbling in that. Maybe you've been messing around with it. Maybe you have friends that are. Here's what I want you to know. God loves you. He wants a personal relation. The God of the universe that created everything wants a personal relationship with you, and His Spirit will come and live inside of you. If you've been messing with it, I want you to just tell God you're sorry. Yeah. I want you to tell Him that you want to follow Him and not go after these deceitful other spirits that are trying to attract you in, and say, God, I want to follow you. If you've been messing around with Ouija boards or any kind of occult kind of stuff, I want you to throw that thing away. Yeah. I want you to not play it when you go to your friend's house. Take a stand. God wants to use you to reach your friends. So, listen, if you have more questions about this, put them in the comments. We will answer those questions. But we want you to know the truth about what's going on around you so that you can be firm in your faith and actually make a difference in the world around you.
Should we stand in solidarity together?
I think we should. I feel like we should sing a song. Solidarity. We stand in solidarity because we're solid.
We will not bow down to the voices of oppression.
We stand
with Lil Yachty.
Lil Yachty! Hey, thanks for watching Cereal Talks. Hope you had a good time with us.
Bam, 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 bam.
Bam, 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 bam.
You just brought a sword to a gunfight, but you just chopped my arm off that was holding the gun.
Hey, share this with your friends. If it helped you, let us know. If you have questions about anything we talked about, send them in. We want to answer those questions for you. We'll see you next time.
Why is your chair doing that to my
Hey,
chair?
man, get your arm off my arm.
He was touching my knee.
Mom!